Lesson 9. Consider all possible ways you can fail. To maximize your chances of success in any endeavor, it's extremely crucial to take time to thoroughly consider all possible ways you could fail. Despite its obvious importance, people often overlook this step when devising a plan of action or making decisions. And simply identifying one or two potential issues isn't sufficient. To truly guarantee success, you must anticipate every single possible failure scenario, every possible way your plan could go wrong, and then prepare accordingly. A scene that illustrates Light's application of this principle is his first meeting with Misa. He extensively questioned her about various ways they could get into trouble. He pointed out, "The day that you and I were in Aoyama, there were 3 times the usual number of surveillance cameras around. Anyone who was in Aoyama on the 22nd would have definitely been caught on camera, that includes me. If you and I were seen together, it wouldn't look very good. In fact, even being here together right now is a problem." Misa explained that she was in disguise. Light then probed further, "And what about your fingerprints? All those tapes you sent to the TV station. They all had the same fingerprints on them." Misa clarified that the fingerprints belonged to a friend who sent the tapes on her behalf. Light continued his interrogation, "And this friend you made the tapes with, where is she now?" Frustrated with Light's persistent questions, Misa suggested giving him her death note. Light, however, remained cautious and questioned her again. "But you might have removed several pages from your death note. You could be hiding them somewhere for all I know." Lesson 10. Turn problems into opportunities. An extremely useful thinking principle is to always try to turn problems into opportunities. Often, when we encounter a problem, we instinctively view it as a setback and obstacle. However, by shifting your perspective, you can find hidden benefits within the problem. What initially seems like a negative situation can actually be an opportunity to achieve something beneficial that wasn't previously considered. When Al revealed his identity, Light began to worry, thinking that he's going to get caught soon. But then he thought, "This is perfect, there's no reason for me to be worried. This whole thing is nothing more than a contest between Al and me, a match of wits. On the surface we'll be 2 friendly classmates, but in reality we will actually be investigating each other. This is interesting, Ryuga. If it's my friendship you want, I'll gladly accept it. In time I'll earn your trust. And once you've told me what I want to know, there'll be no point keeping you alive. Then I'll eliminate you with my hands if I have to." Lesson 11. Review past actions and look for oversights to avoid unexpected problems. An important practice for avoiding unexpected problems, which must be done regularly, is to meticulously review and examine past decisions and actions. Take the time to thoroughly look for oversights and mistakes. Check whether you may have forgotten or overlooked important details, and assess whether certain actions you took could potentially lead to problems later on. After eliminating Ray Penber and the other FBI agents, Light was shown in his room thinking about his recent actions. He thought to himself, "I've been quite active over these last few days. Think carefully, was there anything I missed?" He added, "Just one oversight, a single piece of evidence is all it would take, it could cost me my life, just one thing." He was then shown going through a timeline of his actions, scrutinizing each detail for any potential slip-ups that could bring El closer to uncovering his identity. He then thought, "I'll be fine. I haven't missed anything. The biggest risk I've taken so far was that bus jacking incident. But they'll never be able to connect it with Kira." Lesson 12. Hit 2 birds with 1 stone. An effective tactic in goal setting and problem solving is to create a plan of action that achieves multiple goals simultaneously, rather than tackling each goal separately. Light Yagami applied this principle during his phone call with Namikawa, one of the members of the Yotsuba group. After the phone call, L commented, "You really are quite amazing, Light. Not only did you manage to delay the killings, but you also set up Namikawa as a potential mole for us. Sounded exactly like the sort of thing I would do, and you thought of it quicker than I did." Lesson 13. Always think through how an option will play out before executing it. Each time you're making a decision and coming up with options, it's necessary to think through how each choice will play out. This is a basic yet crucial decision-making principle that should be applied at all times. Although it seems like an obvious step, most people come up with a solution or course of action and act on it without first thinking through the potential outcomes. Light Yagami exemplifies this principle perfectly. Whenever he devises a solution or a possible course of action, he immediately evaluates how it will play out, carefully thinking through the potential consequences before proceeding. This is one of the main reasons he rarely makes mistakes. Due to the significance of this decision-making principle, I'll share multiple examples to emphasize its importance. The first example is Light thinking about testing the death note for a second time after the first use. He thought, I have to test it one more time, in which case it should probably be another criminal, but if he's too well known, that'll be a problem. If he dies, there's a good possibility that news of his death will be covered up. After obtaining Ray Penber's name, Ryuk asked Light, you're about to write down the name of that agent, aren't you? To which Light replied, not yet. If he dies right after meeting me, I'll only draw attention to myself. I'll write his name in here once I've given them time to investigate more people with ties to the police. It'll be less obvious that way. Another scene that illustrates this principle is Light thinking through different ways to discover Ray Penber's wife's name. He thought, I suppose if I had to, I could use force. No, the last thing I want to do is make a scene in public. I've got to get her somewhere isolated. But where? And what explanation could I give her? It would never work, she's too careful. I need a better approach. After L revealed himself to Light and introduced himself as Hideki Ryuga, Light thought, what now? If he were to die right after telling me who he was, it would only confirm their suspicions. If I tried to eliminate him by simply writing his name in the death note, I might accidentally picture the face of Ryuga the pop star and end up eliminating him instead. And if this guy doesn't die, he'll know for a fact that I'm Kira. During the tennis match, Light thought, is he going to think that I'm Kira if I go for the win? I suppose I could just lose on purpose, but if I do, it could work against me. Since he'd expect Kira to want to win, he might also expect me to throw the match to avoid suspicion. During his first meeting with Misa, Light informed her that he's working with L. Misa replied, great. So all you have to do is take me to where L is and I can see his real name for you. Light responded, I'm afraid it's not that simple. If all of a sudden someone I just met gets too close and at the same time the police detect changes in Kira or the second Kira's behavior, that person will be suspected of being the second Kira. And of course, that'll put me under even greater suspicion. To make Misa obey him, Light threatened her to write her name in the death note, but Rem interjected and warned him that she'd also write his name if he did that. Realizing that Rem could be a threat, Light analyzed the option of eliminating both Misa and Rem. He thought, ideally, I could eliminate Rem first. Someone I was controlling would attack Misa, forcing Rem to save her, but no, that would never work. If Misa's life was put in danger, Rem would immediately suspect me and I'd be the one who'd get eliminated. Lesson 14. Recognize patterns. People with high IQs or smart people in general often excel at pattern recognition, which is a crucial cognitive skill involving the ability to identify regularities in data, behavior, or other forms of information. Light Yagami displayed this ability on multiple occasions. For example, he realized that the name that Ray Penber's wife gave him was an alias by noticing a pattern in Ryuk's reactions during their conversation. He thought, Ryuk. He laughed just like that when I was writing in the death note. And that's not all. I remember thinking how it was bizarre how he laughed when I asked for her name. In fact, he's reacted the same way every time her name comes up. An alias. In another instance, after Light forfeited the death note and lost all memories of its use, he analyzed Kira's behavior and noticed a difference in pattern. He thought, the Kira before I was detained and the one that surfaced afterwards, they must be two different people. The MO clearly doesn't match. This kid is eliminating criminals as soon as they've had their crime broadcast on TV, regardless of the situation. He's punishing people who never intended to. Those who sincerely regretted their crimes or people with excusable circumstances. The original Kira would have never punished those kinds of people. Another impressive display of his pattern recognition skill is Light's discovery of the Yotsuba group's connection to Kira. He told L, take a close look at this, it can't be coincidence. All of them are prominent Japanese businessmen, CEOs whose companies are leaders in their respective industries. In just over a month they all died of heart attacks. As expected, there's been a general downturn in the market with the exception of Yotsuba. In other words, their deaths have worked in Yotsuba's favor. Looking back, there have been 13 similar deaths in the past 3 months. Based on this, I can only conclude that Kira is supporting Yotsuba. Light was able to recognize the pattern even though the Yotsuba group's members made efforts to conceal their actions as much as possible. In fact, a member of the group once said, if someone was able to trace the deaths of these people back to us, then he'd have to be a god. Besides, we've taken precautions. Lesson 15. Know when to act quick. In whatever situation you're in, you should determine whether you need to take immediate action or if you have time to respond. Failing to act quickly in certain situations can lead to significant problems. Delaying action in critical circumstances can escalate issues, allowing them to grow in complexity and severity, and you might miss crucial opportunities. Light finds himself in a similar situation with Ray Penber's wife. He thought, damn it, I'm running out of options here. I have to stop this before it's too late. I've got about 5 minutes before that woman gets to police headquarters. Think. I need her real name, and I don't have much time to spare. He continued, if this woman makes it to the police station and someone from the task force has returned by then, it'll all be over for me. I've got to find out her real name and eliminate her quickly. Only 3 minutes left until she reaches the station. Later on in the series, Nier asked the task force members to contact him to share information about L's investigation into Light. Light thought, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the others contacted Nier, it's inevitable. The problem is what comes after that. If I'm too late to act, something might happen that I won't be able to take back. Lesson 16. Know when to take time. While quick action is sometimes necessary, there are many situations where it is better not to rush. Taking the time to observe the situation and allowing it to unfold before taking any action can lead to more informed and effective decisions. After Soichiro confirmed to Light that Hideki Ryuga is indeed L, Light thought, this guy is the real L, my father wouldn't lie. The very same man who's been controlling the police up to this point. If I get rid of him and the rest of the investigative team. No, let's face it, it wouldn't be that simple. There's no need to rush. I have time to sit back and watch.